The year is 1452. Imagine, if you will, a city unlike any other on earth. Constantinople, a golden jewel on a strategic peninsula at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. Markets buzz with 1,000 languages. Spices mingle with the scent of sea salt, silk, fur, precious gems. The heart of a civilization that has endured for over 1,000 years. The last remnant of the Roman Empire, a beacon of Christianity. On one side stood Constantine, the 11th Palaiologos. He was the emperor of the Romans, but his empire was a shadow. He was a man burdened by the weight of 1,000 years of history. Constantine was no weakling. He was a soldier, a pragmatist. He had pleaded with the Christian kingdoms of the West for aid, but help was slow to come, tangled in religious disputes and political rivalries. He faced the immense task of defending a vast city with just a handful of men. Joining them, about 700 professional soldiers from Genoa, led by Giovanni Giustiniani Longo. These men, Greeks, Latins, stood shoulder to shoulder. His adversary was a man who seemed destined for greatness, Sultan Mehmed II. He was just 21 years old. Mehmed was brilliant, ruthless, and utterly obsessed with one goal, the conquest of Constantinople. He called it the Golden Apple. Constantinople was more than just a city, it was a symbol. For Christians, it was the capital of the Eastern Orthodox Church. It was the Second Rome. Its churches housed sacred relics. Whoever controlled Constantinople controlled vital trade between East and West. For centuries, fortunes in silk, spices, grain, and slaves had passed through its harbors. For Venice, Genoa, and other Italian city-states, access to this route was their lifeblood. For the Ottoman Empire, it was a foreign body lodged in the heart of their growing domains, disrupting communication and trade. By taking the city, Mehmed would capture history itself. He would become Mehmed the Conqueror, the new Caesar. The city was the key to unlocking true imperial status. The Golden Horn could shelter his navy, and the Theodosian walls would become his fortress, a centrally located capital from which to project power. Mehmed II was a man of the Renaissance, fascinated by new technology. He knew the ancient walls had a weakness. They were built to withstand trebuchets and catapults, not the terrifying power of gunpowder. He sought out Orban, a Hungarian cannon founder. Orban had offered his services to the Byzantines, but they couldn't afford him. Mehmed had the resources. He gave Orban workshops, materials, and immense amounts of bronze. The result was a monster. The Basilic, the great Turkish bombard, over 27 feet long, firing stone balls weighing over 1,200 pounds. It took 60 oxen to move, hundreds to operate, and when it fired, the ground shook. Its roar heard for miles. This was psychological warfare as much as engineering. Mehmed commissioned an entire artillery train, rows of cannons strategically placed along the land walls to target weak points. The bombardment began in early April 1453. It was relentless. Day after day, the giant stone balls smashed the ancient fortifications. The air was thick with dust and the smell of gunpowder. In the first days of April 1453, the people of Constantinople looked out from their walls and saw a terrifying sight. The Ottoman army had arrived. The city was surrounded on land. To the north, the Golden Horn was protected by a massive iron chain. For now, the sea flank was secure. Mehmed conceived an audacious plan. If his navy could not break the chain, he would take his ships overland. He ordered a greased wooden slipway over the hill of Galata. In a single night, under torchlight, soldiers, sailors, and oxen dragged dozens of galleys across the slope into the Golden Horn. The next morning, the defenders awoke to a horrifying shock. The Ottoman fleet was inside their harbor. The chain had been bypassed. The city was now besieged from the sea as well as the land. The weakest seawall across the Golden Horn was under direct threat. Under relentless bombardment, the Ottomans focused on the St. Romanus Gate and launched assaults. Scaling ladders, mining tunnels, swarming attacks, while defenders repaired breaches with rocks, timber, and earth. They poured boiling pitch and threw Greek fire. The defenders used small cannons and every improvised defense, but the struggle was desperate and exhausting. For 7 long weeks, the siege ground on. The constant roar of the cannons was the soundtrack to their lives. The mighty outer wall was little more than a pile of rubble. A hastily built stockade of earth and wood stood behind it. Every able-bodied man, nobleman, monk, commoner, fought on the walls for their faith and their home. Giovanni Giustiniani organized defenses. Emperor Constantine II fought alongside his soldiers. They refused Mehmed's offers of peaceful surrender. The city was starving, markets were silent, food was scarce, rats and shoe leather. Hope flickered and dimmed, yet moments of heroism became legend. commanders rallying, small acts of bravery on the walls shining in the dark siege. Bombardment wore down walls and men. The Ottomans rotated fresh troops while defenders, exhausted and wounded, had no replacements. Every fallen man was irreplaceable. The walls crumbled, the noose tightened. Despair set in and everyone knew the end was near. On the night of May 28th, an eerie silence fell over the battlefield. The cannon stopped. Inside the city, the exhausted defenders knew what this meant. The final assault was coming. Church bells rang. People gathered in the Hagia Sophia for one last service. Before dawn on May 29th, the attack began. Mehmed launched his assault in 3 waves. First came the irregular Bashi bazooks to exhaust defenders, then Anatolian troops, finally the elite Janissaries. Giovanni Giustiniani was grievously wounded and was carried from the walls. Panic spread among the Genoese. A fatal gap opened. A small group of Janissaries discovered the Kerkaporta, a small unlocked gate. They poured through it and raised the Ottoman banner on a nearby tower. They attacked the defenders from behind. The cry went up, "The city is taken!" The defense collapsed. Emperor Constantine cast off his royal insignia and plunged into the fighting. He died as he had lived, a Roman soldier fighting for his city. The fall of the city was followed by 3 days of terrifying plunder, as was the custom of the age. Looting, burning, and a maelstrom of violence swept the streets. Thousands of civilians were killed. Thousands more enslaved. When Mehmed rode into the city on the 3rd day, he rode to the Hagia Sophia. He ordered it converted into a mosque. An imam recited the Islamic prayer. Constantinople was now Istanbul. A new era had begun. The news sent shockwaves across Europe. Popes called for a crusade, but the divided kingdoms could not mount a serious response. The balance of power had shifted. The Ottoman Empire was now a major European power, poised to dominate southeastern Europe and the Mediterranean. Istanbul became the glorious capital of a vast and wealthy empire. The Ottomans absorbed Byzantine bureaucracy and blended cultures. The conquest cemented Mehmed's legacy. A new political and cultural synthesis of East and West took shape. The fall of Constantinople was a pivotal moment that truly marked the end of the Middle Ages. The final remnant of the Roman Empire, which had lasted for nearly 2,200 years, was finally extinguished. The old world of knights, castles, and feudal loyalties gave way to centralized monarchies, professional armies, and gunpowder technology. The event forced Europeans to rethink their place in the world. With Ottomans controlling overland routes, merchants sought new sea routes. This helped spark the Age of Discovery. Byzantine scholars fled westward with classical manuscripts. Their knowledge fueled the Renaissance in Italy. The light of Byzantium did not go out. It was rekindled in a new location. Today, the echoes of 1453 still resonate. Istanbul is a vibrant metropolis where legacies of 2 great empires meet. The Hagia Sophia, church, mosque, museum, and mosque again, remains a focal point of cultural and religious identity. The fall of Constantinople reminds us that history is not static. Empires rise and fall, power shifts, and a single event can change the world forever.